Peace, YouTube. Here's another video for this week, and the topic is going to be talking about post-traumatic stress. I was inspired to make this video because I was reading an article that was titled something like post-traumatic stress growth. I know we often, I've heard that the term as post-traumatic stress disorder, and read a little bit about it from the scientific, psychological perspective of what it is, what are the symptoms, that it can be like long-term or chronic, and a lot of people that have been in through a traumatic experience can experience certain symptoms. And I really liked the article that talked about post-traumatic stress growth in the sense of how do we transform these experiences, these so-called traumatic, unpleasant experiences, and really come out with a sense of growth, with a sense of clarity, with a sense of newness, if you will. So what I would like to talk about is this particular idea, but in the context of some of the experiences that women go through, such as toxic, abusive relationships, domestic violence. I wanted to talk about this in particular because it does relate to me personally as somebody who had been through a toxic and a very, very abusive relationship, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. And I remember coming out of it, and when you come out of such an experience, you want to make sense of everything that has happened, and you also want to make sense of how you're feeling afterwards. It's this mind's tendency to want to explain and rationalize and figure out, put in simple terms, what is it that I'm going through? Why am I having nightmares? Why am I waking up in the middle of the night with fear and panic? Why am I feeling irritable? Why is my appetite changing? All of that, you want to make sense of it. Post-traumatic stress, as it's described, seems to offer some kind of explanation, okay, so this is what you're going through. And but what I really want us to shift our attention towards is not just focusing on the symptoms, because we can often become so reliant on explaining physical symptoms, and we forget that a lot of these symptoms are like spiritual nudge. They're basically there to tell us, to give us some kind of guidance, to tell us where should we go next, what are some of the issues within ourselves that we need to address. Yes, we come out with a lot of anger. I was really angry and upset and felt extremely abused and misused and on every level. And but then I thought, okay, coming out with realizations about how toxic the other person wasn't enough for me personally to heal and to move beyond this traumatic experience. So I started to look deeper, and yes, the symptoms can be very unpleasant. The panic, the fear, the anxiety, the irritability, all of that, it can be very unpleasant. I know how it feels. But waiting for those symptoms to go away, and just simply, or learning to cope with them, is sort of like missing out on a much greater message that we could be receiving through those experiences. And one is basically addressing those unresolved, unhealing parts within ourselves. It also, I think that a lot of what people describe as post-traumatic stress, and which I have felt and I have experienced, feel like some kind of dying. But it's not really dying in the sense of like, like wanting to just leave this world or to die a physical death, but it's like those parts of you, those ideas and experiences, those belief systems that no longer serve you, they're dying, they're leaving. But yet I think we're holding on to them, and we're getting fearful of letting go of that part, and the mind is rationalizing why we should hold on to it, and then we feel like we should mourn those parts, even though there's, our inner core grasps that we no longer need them. So all of that can be really, can seem very overwhelming, but if we can manage to pull through and just be present in the moment and experience every unpleasant feeling and sensation and mood, then I think we'll come out we'll emerge and come out much stronger with a better sense of clarity. I also want to talk about something here related to abusive relationships and the feeling that comes afterwards. A lot of people talk about time, time will heal this, time will heal that. I feel that time has very little, if anything, to do with healing. Time is simply the medium. It's the through which we can manifest those experiences that will take us towards healing. Time spent doing nothing or doing the same things over and over, time spent not taking the time to reflect and receive the lessons, is basically, it doesn't really, it's just basically time passing. It's basically just time passing by, and we are moving along, but we are stagnant in the sense of our spiritual growth. So sometimes people talk about how, when you come out of a relationship, you need to take time. You need to, you need to spend this much time not dating, this much time not doing this, not doing this much time being celibate. I'd say don't put a timer on your own growth and healing. Don't set a timer. What I would really recommend from my own personal experience is put that whole concept of time aside and just be present in the moment and focus on what you're doing in the here and now. And don't put your own healing on hold. This is something I have done in my own experience, and it has brought me a great level of pain. And eventually, the universe is going to hand you that memo. You can keep delaying. You can keep you can lock your door as much as you want. At some point, there's not going to be just gentle knocking. It's going to come in a much harder way. So you can either receive it nice and easy, or you can receive it the hard way, and it's your choice. So I would say to put aside the concept of time and really just be present in the moment and listen attentively and deeply and carefully, because there is something to be derived. Not that it justifies another person being hurtful or abusive or harsh. This is something within themselves, within their spirit, but there's also something within us that they have mirrored back to us. And if we just come out of that relationship, we think that with time our anger and rage and sadness will subside, and we take that alone to mean that we have healed, we may be just going around and around in circles, not really addressing the core issues of our own unresolved or unhealed parts. So put the time aside, don't put a timer, and focus on the moment. I feel that sometimes some people can really, you can learn the lesson in a relatively short amount of time, or you can spend years and years and years saying, well, I haven't dated anyone in a while, now it's time to go back. But then you see the same things happen over and over again, same abusive patterns, same toxic relationships. And that sometimes has to do with the message that a relationship was looking to bring to us, and we sort of just brushed it aside and came out with all these realizations about the other person, but not about our own self and the parts of us that need to heal. And also realizing how important it is to love ourselves first and foremost, because if we come out of a relationship and then we're looking for another person to love us, and we think, oh well, this one will turn out to be better. He or she may, but that will not just simply address everything. That will not nourish our soul and give us that sense of wholeness. There will always be that void, and we have to dive, we have to dig deeper, we have to see. And but I would say to not put the time stamp on it. I was thinking today, earlier, I was just meditating on this whole idea, and some analogy occurred to me, which is the phone, like being on a phone call. That's sort of how a relationship feels like to me. You know, you on a phone call, and what happens is, you know, you put that call on hold and then you resume again, and or you think there's gonna be someone else on the other line, but really it's the same caller trying to convey the same message. And we think it's gonna be someone else. Or you hang up that call and dial again, and somebody else picks up the phone, has the same tone, same ideas, same behavior, everything. I would say the best thing is to just disconnect that call and plug into yourself. Make that call within yourself, and also plug into the divine, the source of all, you know. And then you will feel that when the time, you know, when you attract a new person in your life, you will feel the difference, you will feel the growth, you will feel the love, because the love will start within you first and foremost. I would really recommend to not just keep on putting that call on hold, because eventually we will get the message. The other thing is, I would advise those that are in abusive or toxic relationships, you don't have to stay. Please don't stay. I mean, some people, you know, I've read and I've seen some people talk about how, you know, you stay because of different, you know, certain reasons. You stay because there's a lesson you haven't, you know, to learn. And yes, there's a lesson from every experience. But sometimes when we stay, we come to the realization that something is no longer serving us, it's toxic, it's hurting us, and we stay. We are blocking our own blessings, we are blocking our own growth. So gather the strength, which is really within you, and shift and get out, disconnect from that toxic relationship, because toxic and abusive relationships take a lot of your time and energy, the energy that you can use to nourish and heal and love yourself. So please don't stay in toxic abusive relationships. They are draining. They're draining for your energy, and there are a lot of people that just they don't know how to plug into a higher source and really love themselves, so they thrive on draining other people of their energy. So I feel that what's most important is to realize when something does not feel right, you know that there is something better. You may not have taken the time to really fully envision and visualize that something. Then do not spend more of your time trying to fix something that you know is toxic and no longer serves you. There is so much beauty in the world, but it starts from within. It starts from within you. So this is just what I wanted to share. I wanted to keep this less than 10 minutes, but it's already almost 15 minutes. I wish everyone much love and healing and beautiful relationships and post-traumatic stress growth.